Hello, my name is Joseph Olivares, and I work for the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC. The EEOC is a federal agency responsible for enforcing federal discrimination laws in the United States. Today, we'll be discussing the basics of what caregiver discrimination is and share some information for you about the EEOC resources for you to find. Today, we're joined by EEOC Legal Counsel, Carol Miaskoff, to discuss the important topics. Carol, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
When the EEOC talks about workplace discrimination and discrimination against caregivers, who are they talking about? Are they talking about parents, family members, or are they talking about people like in senior citizen homes or healthcare workers?
Sure. Well, today we're talking about working parents who are taking care of kids, and really any workers who are taking care of parents, aunts, uncles, partners, or someone who has a disability or is ill. But even though we're not talking about the other kind of caregivers today, I, of course, want to be clear that the federal employment non-discrimination laws apply to nursing home employers and care home employers and to the people who work there too.
How do the laws of the EEOC enforces prohibit discrimination against caregivers?
Okay, so the EEOC enforces the federal laws against employment discrimination. These start with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VII, and includes the Americans with Disabilities Act and several other laws. These laws all prohibit employment discrimination, and it's based on a worker's race, national origin, disability, sex, or other grounds. Now, how does this link to caregivers? Well, an employer can violate these laws when they act based on assumptions about an employee's availability to work in light of that employee's sex, race, or another characteristic protected by law, coupled with that worker's caregiving responsibilities. So it's a lot of words. Let me tell you how it works here. Here's a good example. Say an employer is refusing to hire mothers of young children, but is hiring fathers of young children. That would be employment discrimination based on sex. Another example would also be against the law would be to discriminate in employment against a Latina working mother based on gender or ethnic stereotypes about working mothers, Latinas, or Latino working mothers.
That's very interesting, Carol. And do you know if the EEOC has had any discrimination cases that deal with caregiver discrimination?
Yes, we definitely have. And I'll tell you some of the stories here because it gives you a good feel for what this kind of employment discrimination is about. In one case, the EEOC alleged that a hotel management company refused to promote a single mother because she had children. The company allegedly told the working mother that she wouldn't be given the promotion because she couldn't relocate or work long hours because, quote, she had a full-time job at home with her children. The EEOC argued that the single mother was never asked if she would be willing to relocate or if she could work extended hours. Instead, the EEOC claimed in the lawsuit, the company assumed based on her gender that she wouldn't be willing to do so because she was a mother of young children. This case settled for $105,000. Now, a less well-known form of caregiver discrimination is employment discrimination against workers based on their association with an individual who has a disability. For example, the EEOC filed a lawsuit against a medical practice that allegedly fired a temporary worker and refused to hire her for a full-time job because she had a child with disabilities. This case settled for $165,000.
Wow. What resources does the EEOC have for employees and employers who want to learn more about caregiver discrimination under the laws that the EEOC enforces?
We have a lot of resources. To start off, go on the internet, go to www.eeoc.gov and type caregiver into the search bar. This will bring up a lot of documents, including a new technical assistance that the EEOC just issued about caregivers during the time of COVID-19 and its aftermath. In addition to the COVID-19 document, several years ago, the EEOC published a document about employer best practices for workers with caregiving responsibilities. We want to try to help employers do it right. This document describes practices that employers may voluntarily adopt to help prevent discrimination against caregivers and remove this barrier to equal employment opportunity. And these practices surely are relevant today. Finally, I just want to say that if employers or employees want to schedule a training session for the organization, you can feel free to contact the local EEOC outreach and education coordinator or small business liaison. Basically, the EEOC has district offices around the country, and every district office includes someone whose full-time job is to be the outreach and education coordinator. And you can reach out to them and they can help arrange for you to get training or to answer questions. So that should be a help.
So what should caregivers do if they think they're being discriminated against in the workplace under the laws that the EEOC enforces?
Sure. First of all, just as sort of practical advice, it's always a good idea to take some notes, close to the event about what happened, when it happened, and who else was nearby or might know about it, just to, get it down in writing when it's fresh. As to reporting or complaining about what happened, employees can decide if they want to report it to their employer or not. Employees can do a lot of things in that department. You can talk to a supervisor you trust, or see if your employer has a formal complaint process, or go to HR. These are examples. People also can file more formal legal complaints about employment discrimination with a government agency. At the federal level, that's us, the EEOC. At the state or local level, it will be a state or local civil rights agency. And it's important to note that in the area of caregiving, sometimes states and localities have laws that are more protective of the workers than the federal laws, because some of these laws expressly prohibit employment discrimination based on a worker's caregiving responsibilities. So with these state or local laws, they expressly say thou shalt not discriminate based on caregiving. The federal laws prohibit employment discrimination based on sex, race, disability, etc., and the assumptions that sometimes go with those.
And when you're talking about documenting, what should they document? And do they need any kind of evidence right there when they come to the EEOC?
Well, first of all, I didn't want to overdo it with the documentation. You don't have to have documentation to come to the EEOC. It may be helpful, but you don't have to have it in order to file a complaint with the EEOC or with another government agency. Please don't hesitate to report discrimination, even if you don't have the evidence. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that once you make the complaint, and either to the employer or to a government agency, they will probably investigate, and there are going to be a lot of opportunities to sort of gather the facts at that point.
And if people have any more questions about caregiver discrimination, file a charge, or they have just any general questions about the EEOC, where should they go?
Okay, well, first of all, we have a 1-800 number that you should feel free to call. And I think it's on your screen now. It's 1-800-669-4000. Or you can email us at info@eeoc.gov. Individuals with hearing impairments may call our ASL video phone number, which is 1-844-234-5122. Finally, again, you can contact your local EEOC office and ask for the Outreach and Education Coordinator or the Small Business Liaison. We really are happy to answer your questions, provide training, or share information.
That's been very, very interesting, Carol. We want to thank you for joining us today and providing us this valuable information.
My pleasure.
Once again, if you have any questions about caregiver discrimination or how to file a charge, or like we said, any general questions about the EEOC, you can visit our website, www.eeoc.gov. You can call our phone number, 1-800-669-4000, and individuals with hearing impairments may use our ASL video phone at 844-234-5122. Please be sure to like and click like and share this video. And also make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here, so you'll have access to the most informational videos about the EEOC and workplace discrimination. Thank you for watching.